First tonight at 11, a grandmother is now mourning the loss of both her daughter and her granddaughter. DeKalb County police say the two were murdered after initially investigating the shooting as a murder-suicide. 11 Alive's Galat Malam.
On December 13th, 2025, at 1:15 in the morning, police rushed to a townhome on Chatfield Drive in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Inside, they found a scene that would initially confuse everyone. 3 people had been shot. 2 were dead. 1 was barely alive. The deceased were 33-year-old Connie Jackson and her 11-year-old daughter, Arielle. The survivor was 41-year-old Roland Sukoo, Connie's boyfriend. And in the middle of all this chaos, there was a 6-month-old baby boy named Tristan, completely unharmed, crying in his crib. Now, before we dive deeper into what really happened that night, if you're interested in true crime cases like this, cases that make us question everything we think we know about the people around us, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click that bell icon so you never miss an update. Trust me, you're going to want to stay with us on this one. So let me tell you about Connie Jackson, because understanding who she was makes this whole thing even more heartbreaking. Connie wasn't just another victim in a news headline. She was a mother, a daughter, a friend, her own mother, Arielle. Describe her as someone with the biggest heart you could imagine. Connie loved everybody. She had this incredible ability to see the good in people, even when maybe she shouldn't have. She could walk into a room and make everyone laugh. She had this warmth about her that just drew people in. And Arielle, this little girl, was only 11 years old. She had this huge smile that could light up a room. She loved making TikTok videos, playing games, and going out to eat with her mom. Arielle, her grandmother, had made up this little song for her. Ari Perry, You Better Not Be Sorry. And Arielle would just bust out laughing every single time. That's the kind of kid she was. Full of life, full of joy. Now, Connie had been in a relationship with Roland Sukoo for about 2 years. They lived together in that townhome in Stone Mountain. And here's the thing, from the outside, maybe it looked okay. But inside those walls, things were very different. Connie's family knew the truth. Sukoo had been mentally and emotionally abusing Connie throughout their entire relationship. The verbal attacks, the manipulation, the control. It was the kind of abuse that doesn't leave visible bruises, but it destroys you from the inside out. 6 months before this tragedy, Connie and Sukoo had a baby together, little Tristan. And you know what happens in a lot of these situations? The victim stays because they don't want to break up the family. They think maybe things will get better, maybe for the baby's sake. It's worth trying. Connie felt that weight. She wanted her son to have his father. She wanted to make it work.
But first tonight at 11, a grandmother is now mourning the loss of both her daughter and her granddaughter. DeKalb County police say the two were murdered after initially investigating the shooting as a murder-suicide. 11 Alive's Galat Malamed is live outside the DeKalb County Jail. Now, you just spoke with the grandmother. How's the family dealing with this tragedy?
Ron, that grandmother tells me this is a pain she feels through her whole body, and the family is relying on prayer and each other to get through this time. And tonight I learned from her that the suspect was in a relationship with her daughter.
And I pray to God that no one really has to experience this.
Arielle Jackson and her family want to find peace after an act of violence took their loved ones.
We've been praying together and just depending on God for our strength and just holding on to the love that we shared with them both.
She remembers her daughter, Connie Jackson, for her big heart.
She loved everybody. She just had a soft spot for people in general.
And her granddaughter, 11-year-old Arielle Davis, for her big smile.
I made a song for her, Ari, You Better Not Be Sorry. And she would just bust out laughing, and her smile was just so radiant and infectious.
Jackson says her daughter and granddaughter loved going out to eat together. Arielle enjoyed playing games and making TikTok videos. On Friday, DeKalb County police responded to a shooting at their Stone Mountain home. Police charged 41-year-old Roland Sukoo with their murders. Jackson says Sukoo mentally and emotionally abused her daughter during their roughly 2-year relationship.
Every single one of us carries the anger because this man just sat at our Thanksgiving table with us.
Jackson says despite the pain her daughter was in, she was hopeful better days were ahead. with Connie having plans to move out in a few days.
I actually spoke with my daughter like minutes before her demise. The first thing she said to me when she answered the phone, she said, "Mom, I packed all my stuff, Mom. I'm ready to go, Mom. I'm tired, Mom. I'm done."
Jackson says their phones died, and when she tried calling back her daughter, she never picked up. As Jackson mourns, she is also taking on a new role.
Such a sweet baby.
Caring for her daughter's second child, a 6-month-old who will grow up without his mother and big sister.
I surely don't want to see my daughter and my granddaughter leave this world, but they left something behind, something that they cherished more than life itself.
Police say when Sukoo is released from the hospital, he'll be booked here at the DeKalb County Jail. Live in Decatur, Gilad Mohammed, 11 Alive News.
Okay, Gilad, thanks a lot. Sad story for that family. Thank you.
But staying came at a cost that nobody should ever have to pay. Think about this for a second. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew something was wrong, but you convinced yourself to stay just a little longer? Maybe for the kids. Maybe because you hoped things would change? That's exactly where Connie was. And her family watched it happen. They saw the emotional toll it was taking on her. This man, Roland Sukoo, had sat at their Thanksgiving table just weeks before. He smiled, he ate with them, he acted like family. And the whole time, behind closed doors, he was tearing Connie down piece by piece. Now here's where things start to shift. Connie finally reached her breaking point. After 2 years of abuse, after trying to make it work, after putting everyone else's needs before her own, she decided enough was enough. She started packing her things. She made plans to leave in just a few days. Can you imagine the courage that took? When you're in an abusive relationship, leaving is the most dangerous time. Statistics show that's when victims are most at risk. But Connie was ready. She was done. On that Friday night, December 13th, Connie was on the phone with her mother. It was late, but they were talking, and Connie was telling her everything. "Ma, ipacked all my stuff. Ma, I am ready to go. Ma, I am tired. Ma, I'm done." Those were her words. You can hear the exhaustion in them, right? The kind of tired that comes from carrying a weight for too long. Her mother was on the other end of that call, probably feeling relieved that her daughter was finally getting out, finally choosing herself. And then their phones died. Just like that. The call ended. Arielle tried calling back. No answer. She tried again. Nothing. Now, put yourself in her shoes for a moment. Your daughter just told you she's leaving an abusive relationship. The call drops, and she won't pick up. What's going through your mind? The worry must have been overwhelming. What Arielle didn't know was that in those moments after the call ended, everything was unraveling inside that townhome. There was an argument, a domestic dispute, as police would later call it. But it was so much more than that. This was a man who was losing control, and men like Sukoo don't handle that well. When someone they control for so long tries to leave, something snaps. At 1:15 in the morning, gunshots rang out in that quiet Stone Mountain neighborhood. When police arrived, they found Connie and Arielle both shot dead. Roland Sukoo was also shot, but he was alive. Injured, yes, but alive. And here's where the investigation takes its first turn. Police looked at the scene and made an initial assessment. They thought this was a murder-suicide. They believed Connie had shot her daughter, then shot Sukoo, and then turned the gun on herself. Think about that for a second. The narrative they were building was that this mother, who was finally escaping, who had just told her own mother she was ready to start over, suddenly decided to kill her child and herself? Does that make sense to you?
A mother and a daughter shot and killed inside of their home in Stone Mountain early yesterday morning. Family members are still processing their grief, saying that they know the man who charged or is charged with killing their loved ones. Atlanta News First's reporter Justin Berger is live at DeKalb County Police Headquarters tonight. And Justin, what can you tell us about the man that's now in custody?
Yeah, Victor, his name is Roland Sukoo, and according to the victim's family, he was dating Connie Jackson. Jackson's mother says her daughter endured verbal and emotional abuse from Sukoo. Tonight, he's charged with murdering her and her 11-year-old daughter, Arielle. Connie Jackson's mother, Arielle, says her daughter was bubbly even on her bad days.
She could make just about anybody laugh.
6 months ago, Connie Jackson and Roland Sukoo had their first child together, Tristan. They lived together in Stone Mountain with Connie's 11-year-old daughter, Arielle.
I named her. She called me Mom.
Arielle died Friday morning, shot and killed along with her mother. Police charging Sukoo with 2 counts of malice murder. DeKalb County Police say Sukoo was also seriously injured by gunfire and is receiving treatment at a local hospital.
The more time that they spent together, it started getting out of hand. Things started getting out of hand.
She says although her daughter never accused him of physical abuse, the verbal and emotional torment caused her to consider leaving several times. Shortly before she was killed, Arielle says Connie FaceTimed her.
I knew that she was serious. I knew that she had finally made up her mind to get out, to get away.
She died before she could leave. All the while, baby Tristan was in the home when police say his father shot and killed his mother. Now, he is safely in his grandmother's care. Now, Roland Sukoo, facing 2 murder charges, will be taken to the DeKalb County Jail once he is cleared by doctors. Live in DeKalb County, Justin Berger, Atlanta News First.
Connie's family knew immediately that something was wrong with that story. This wasn't who Connie was. This wasn't what happened. And thankfully, the investigators kept digging. They didn't just accept the easy explanation and close the case. Later that same Friday night, after hours of careful investigation, the police made an announcement that changed everything. This was not a murder-suicide. This was a double murder. Roland Sukoo, the man who was lying in a hospital bed with a gunshot wound, was actually the one who had killed both Connie and her 11-year-old daughter. Let that sink in for a moment. He shot them both. And then what? Did he shoot himself to make it look like Connie had done it? Was he trying to create a narrative where he was the victim? We may never know exactly what went through his mind, but what we do know is that he's now charged with 2 counts of malice murder. He survived his injuries and remains in custody at a hospital, waiting to be transferred to DeKalb County Jail once doctors clear him. And here's the part that absolutely destroys me. Little Tristan, that 6-month-old baby, was in the house the entire time. He was in his crib while his father murdered his mother and his half-sister. He's physically unharmed. But can you imagine the life that child is going to have to navigate? He'll grow up knowing his father killed his mother. His grandmother, Arielle, is taking care of him now, raising money to cover the cost of burying Connie and Arielle, while also trying to provide for this baby who lost everything in one terrible night. You know what makes this even harder to process? Connie was so close to getting out. She had her bags packed. She had told her mother she was done. She was days away from starting a new life. But in abusive relationships, the moment you try to leave is often the most dangerous moment of all. Sukoo couldn't handle losing that control. He couldn't accept that Connie was choosing herself and her children over him. And in his rage, in his need to maintain power, he took everything from her. He took her life, he took Arielle's life, and he destroyed countless others in the process. So here's what I want you to think about. Why do we as a society still struggle to recognize the signs of emotional and mental abuse? Why do victims feel like they have to stay for the sake of keeping a family together? And why is the most dangerous time for someone in an abusive relationship the moment they decide to leave? Connie did everything she was supposed to do. She reached out to her family. She made a plan. She packed her things. And it still wasn't enough to save her. What could have been different? Could friends or family have intervened more directly? Should there be better systems in place to protect people in those critical moments when they're trying to escape? These are questions we need to keep asking, because Connie and Arielle's story is not unique. This happens far too often. If this case affected you, if it made you think about the people in your own life who might be struggling, do me a favor. Share this video. Hit that like button. Subscribe to Shadow Crime and turn on notifications, because we're going to keep telling these stories. We're going to keep asking these hard questions. And maybe, just maybe, we can help save someone before it's too late. Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one.